This is part two. Morning Exiles K&B podcast.
It is indeed. He wouldn't lie to you. It is part two. We are talking about coronavirus, Robusto virus, double coronavirus, Lancero virus, all the good cigar names.
Well, let's talk about if you're a conspiracy theorist, let's call them the intended consequences, and if you're not, let's call them the unintended consequences of all the fear and panic over this coronavirus. Just this morning, I got a text from a friend of mine who is an event promoter, event organizer, and he and I was going to do some narration for his upcoming event. And that was a $400 deal, just a little bit of narration. And he texted me just before we began podcast this morning and said, it's canceled. Not postponed, canceled. So I thought, first thing I thought was, that's $400 out of my pocket. But then I thought about my friend Matt. It's like, that's thousands, tens of thousands out of his pocket.
Well, we have events being canceled left and right all over the country, but also here. I mean, the annual St. Patrick's Day Parade, which the organizers and the participants invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in, and by the way, where the city benefits from additional millions of dollars of sales tax and hotel tax income gone, and there are smaller events that are being canceled. Abby Hamilton, a familiar face to you all, has joined us, and we kind of conscripted her into appearing, but Abby does event planning. And what's the situation like for event planners right now?
Well, some of us are scrambling a little bit, and we're taking it week by week. I know that several upcoming events are on the fence about whether to actually cancel or reschedule. I will say that some of the larger hotel and venues are really working with these people to try to, rebook them for a later date. So that's good news. And without them being without a lot of money. So that's the key right there, because there's already, with events next week, we've got Bella Bowman, we've got the JDRF Denim and Diamonds Gala coming up, and those two, may or may not be moved, but those are two large events, and of course St. Patrick's Day canceled, and I feel like anything that's happening in the next week and a half is going to be rescheduled. Now, I know we have a couple of business report events that are still going on. The Hall of Fame Business Awards, that's still on. Another Power Breakfast there. Some smaller events are still happening around town. But for the most part, the larger events are going by the wayside.
I don't know the answer to this, and it may be a really stupid question. But I know when you've got a fairly substantial event, and I'm going to talk more than 100 people, you don't buy everything the day of the event.
No.
You purchased your supplies and all. Can you insure against something like this so that those who are organizing the event are not on the hook? Can you get an insurance policy or something?
Yes. So, for instance, you can buy event insurance, and I believe it's good for 3 days. And for instance, Hogs for the Cause in New Orleans canceled on the 27th and the 28th.
Wow.
So that's a huge event.
Yeah.
I've already gotten my refund for my tickets. They have insurance. So they are covered. They had like 12 bands coming, and, the logistics for an outdoor event are, crazy. We were very fortunate with Crawford this past weekend that we sort of missed a lot of that. So, and had a great event and did not have to worry about that. But yes, you can insure yourself.
Well, that's a good thing, and I imagine if people have a professional event planner like yourself, you advise them that this may be something that they want to buy. I can remember when I used to do golf tournaments for clients, I would buy the hole-in-one insurance.
Right.
In case somebody actually caught lightning in a bottle and got the car. And we actually had one where somebody hit a hole-in-one, and the insurance company, the insurance car. I just don't like the fact, and in
And people, it's like, are you still having it? That but I think some people who are at the 500 level are really, kind of reconsidering at this point.
Well, and again, the only thing that everybody seems to agree on is that the most danger would be borne by infants, very small children,
Right.
elderly with compromised includes therapy.
So too, like with the upcoming events and some of the, like JDRF, they're in conversations with the national organization, and so that also weighs in. I'm not sure, Bella Boma is still on, as far as I know, but there are a couple other, smaller events, like I said, that have just decided, you know what, we're just gonna fold, and it is a big hit, I think, to the economy here and to the workers.
This week. I'd level. I can't.
He got elected to the United States Senate, appealed the Louisiana state income tax. Remember
Right.
that?
Yeah. In more years.
Absolutely ridiculous posture. Because no one in all this discussion has said, and if you have an event where people are in close proximity to each other and somebody gets sick, you as the event organizer can be held liable. I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, and you have to also think too. If you're running a fever, and if I'm running a fever and I go to an event, knowing that I'm ill, I mean, how would anybody else know? And it could be the flu. it could simply be the flu. Like we've had so many deaths this year in the United States already from the flu, and I realize that maybe there's not enough testing kits for the coronavirus. There's no vaccine, at least not yet. But as far as the liability issue, yeah, that just can't. I think that's really ridiculous.
3,000 people a day in this country die in automobile accidents. 3,000 a day. We don't restrict people from driving. We don't tell them that there's a shared risk. If you get aced on the way to your employer going, they're liable for your death in a car accident.
There's any number of examples like that you can get where there's more risk on a daily basis in the USA than with this virus, and yet there's no panic. Why? I am a conspiracy theorist, and I ask why. Why did we gin up this huge ass panic? Why did we do it? Is it that it's an election year and things aren't going so well for one party right now? Is that it?
Well, I don't think because one party is affected as badly as another by this one if you go long term. What I think happens is, again, the 24-hour news cycle does not realize that if someone needs to push the red button, they're going to be the ones who get it. So in the meantime, they're reporting every little nuance of this constantly, and quite frankly, the viewer and thinks that this is the zombie apocalypse. And the fact is, it is a novel virus. They haven't worked with this before. There could be consequences down the road. They know who is at risk, and that's the entire story. But you can't repeat that over and over and over and over and over again. Tonight, 2/9/33, somebody is going to find some grandmother in West Overshoe who has a relative that once lived in New Iberia and who traveled one time to Canada and now is in a retirement home in Tampa and has a cough. And we're going to have to watch a 10-minute package from their relatives on, I sure hope it ain't the coronavirus going to kill my granny. And I cannot tell you how offensive this is to me as someone who thinks we want to deal strictly in facts and not fantasy and not projections.
Right. Well, even aside from the events, I've been out to dinner a couple of times this week, and the restaurants are looking a little thin, and I feel like that's another consequence. And I encourage people to, eat local, go out, just go out to eat and live your normal life. Do what you would do if you feel sick, then you stay home, no matter what the prognosis is.
Well, and until proven otherwise, right now in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, if you feel sick, it's probably the flu. It's probably not coronavirus.
Probably.
But stay home anyway, because that's just as dangerous.
Right.
But, since when did we all get into this mindset where we're all going to stay home now because we're afraid to get sick? That's new. It used to be, even when we knew that we were in the height of flu season, we would just do whatever we did. And we didn't worry about it. And if we got the flu, we got the flu.
Well, let's not forget, okay? There are going to be people that wince and cringe at this. But there are people who love to duck their work responsibilities and will use any excuse to stay home and milk this. There are businesses all over this city right now that are having people say, well, you put out that memo about how we don't want to spread coronavirus, and I didn't feel quite so well last night, so I'm going to stay home today.
Here's Jane saying, I wish they would say how they think that the cases in Louisiana started. Was it after traveling or coming in contact with someone who was traveling, et cetera, et cetera? Jane, I think at this point, they don't have a clue.
Well, and as for my point, just to make it better for Kevin and I'm hoping it's bestiality.
Ew.
Just saying.
Ew.
Remember, the first one they reported as a presumptive positive was someone in the highly compromised group. He was elderly, he had underlying health conditions. And again, New Orleans has had and will continue to have tons of international visitors. Ships that disembark in New Orleans,
Yes.
and a lot of them, I don't want to point a finger, a lot of them are Princess-owned ships, and Princess seems to be the one we hear most about with people that are being quarantined on board a ship.
Yes.
You know, the thing is, it's a virus. You know, and viruses constantly duplicate and replicate and change, and it makes it very, very hard to find a patient zero in most of these. Remember how hard they looked for patient zero in HIV about 20 years ago? People are going to get sick from they're going to get sick from mumps and measles and flu. And how they got it doesn't matter as much as now they have it, you have a firm diagnosis, it's verified, and what do you do with it? And God help us, we don't have any confirmed cases in Baton Rouge yet. I hope it stays that way.
Right. Yeah, me too.
But we can't be acting like our hair's on fire if this afternoon we hear there's a confirmed case in Baton Rouge. We just can't.
Yeah.
It's not
Be
good
smart.
for anybody.
Be smart. Be smart about your health.
Well, I think you tell me, you're the expert. I think we're probably going to have some more cancellations in the next week or two, which is unfortunate.
Cancellations, possible and postponements. You know, I've been, again, talking to some of the boards that I'm on and some of my friends that are hosting other events. And it's a little bit of a wait and see, and I think they're trying to avoid the panic mode as well. But some of them, answer to other people, so we just have to see. And I will definitely give a shout out to a lot of the venues because they are working tirelessly. The hotels, the casino, LeBaire's casino venue, just to kind of reschedule and rebook.
And I know this is not your primary business, but I think this is something maybe all three of us can kind of think about. Has anybody heard of anybody canceling any weddings or wedding receptions where there's a lot of kissing and touching and dancing and has anybody heard of anybody canceling any weddings?
Mike and I have a wedding this weekend in New Orleans. Not canceled.
Not canceled. Now, it would seem to me that when you talk about postponements, though, the venue is the difficult thing there. To be able to get that second date if you have to book a venue.
Yes.
And in some cases, it's probably impossible.
Correct. And so that's the determining factor. I know that one of the charities is looking at a couple of dates. You also have your fiscal year to keep in mind. Is it June 30th or 12/31 for your fundraising efforts? So, too, and it just kind of is what it is right now, and what's available is what's available, and you just need to go with that. So,
well, I worry that with good intentions and because everybody else is doing it, we're costing a lot of people a lot of money, and many of them can't afford to lose this money that the cancellation or the postponement is causing them right now.
absolutely.
And I now what's interesting, some of them who can afford to lose a lot of money, but only for a short period of time, these professional sports teams that have, the $700 million payrolls.
Billions of dollars.
And how long before they tell, their backup quarterback who makes $18 million a year, I can't pay you because we don't have any ticket sales.
Right. How long, any sport, how long before the money just dries up because they're not selling those tickets? NASCAR, having races without spectators at the track.
Right.
The NBA shut down. They've suspended the rest of the season. What do you do when you suspend the rest of a season? How do you arrive at? Is that a year without a championship team? Is that the way it goes?
Well, I don't know. One of the big coaches in the NCAA basketball world, and I've forgotten his name. I can see his face. He was asked by a reporter what it would be like to have the Final Four without spectators. And he said the Final Four is all about spectators.
Exactly.
It's the electricity,
It's the experience.
In the arena, and you've got people pulling for all kinds of different teams because there's so many people in it. He said it will be dull, it will be lackluster, and he speculated that even the television ratings would be way down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm sorry, the teams feed off of their live audience, if you will, their crowd. Teams feed off that. And I just think the game is, a basketball game in an empty court is going to be,
Yeah.
who cares?
Well,
Practice.
particularly when it's the highest level of basketball. There, sooner or
It'd be
later.
like my junior high team. Nobody came to see those either.
Yeah. But, sooner or later, people need to get on the same page with things like this. And like I said, with a 24-hour news cycle, a button for real, that you'll be able to send out your reporters and report on it. Now, what I find interesting is you got all these reporters going out are they interviewing people from a 6-foot length? There's a lot of droplets flying when you do an in-person interview and you're passing the mic.
Mike?
I mean, are they
everything.
Are they only sending the real tall reporters like Matt Williams so he can reach 6 feet, or are they going to send Liz Coe, who's got to be within 2 feet?
Give you, the microphone boom where you stand there
But
and hold it like that.
they're not doing what they tell us to do. Those anchor desks, they're not 6 feet away from each other. They're carrying the message. They're not doing it. Think about that.
I have just as a former member of the local or statewide news media, I am ashamed of that profession, the way they have whipped this thing up and whipped it way out of proportion, and we have gone right along with it, just like a donkey following a carrot tied to a stick.
You know what? And I am with you on that, and I am even more ashamed that their justification is, well, everybody else is covering it this way, so
Yep.
we have to.
So we have to.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
That's like the Albertsons manager saying he couldn't fire the employee who cussed me because he's afraid he'd get something worse.
Well, that's our time for today. And Abigail Hamilton, we thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
time
Thank you.
today. Now, we understand we had some transmission trouble. Cox Wi-Fi is wonky. My Cox internet at home has slowed down the last couple of days. So what I'm
Excuse
gonna
me, you
do-
said something about your Cox at home?
Yeah, the Cox Wi-Fi. Cox internet.
Just wondering. Just wondering.
COX, Bill, shame on you.
Shame on you.
So what I'm going to do is later today, we record these as well as put them out on Facebook Live. So we understand there was some transmission trouble. I'm going to post the recorded versions as well, so you can see the uninterrupted conversation. Till Tuesday, stay well, stay brave.
Yeah, be smart, and don't go visit Grandma in the nursing home because that interferes with her sex time.